Hello and welcome to another MTD podcast. It's Friday and the date is the 24th of September. I'm Paul Jones, Managing Director and founder of MTDCNC.com, who will be hosting today's Friday podcast, the podcast that every Friday night at 6 o'clock is released across all the popular podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel so you can watch it. The purpose of this broadcast is really to fill our audience in on some of the highlights that we've experienced and encountered over the last few days. It's been a pretty busy week at MTD CNC. Coming up in today's show, we'll be talking about Hella, Bystronic, where we've been this week to their open house, Microplus, a company in the West Midlands we visited, Ritchie Precision down in Essex. Also, we've been to DF Precision Machinery, suppliers of Hardinge and Vumard, Kellenberger, Ukamutu and USAC machines. Spares. They also do spares for the Jones and Shipman range. We'll be talking about that. The Engineering Quest, a company I visited yesterday, Cranfield University, and we're joined today by Kevin Hawley, Director of GOM UK. We'll be talking, of course, about GOM. I welcome to the show, Kevin. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. Good to see you on today's podcast. And, of course, another MTD member, Gio, who's quite a regular on this Friday.
Hi, Paul. How are you doing?
Friday,
all right?
we
also went to Solidcam on Tuesday, Hainbuch on Wednesday, and Chester Machine Tools yesterday.
Well, I was waiting for you to add those to the list as well. So there you go. What a week. A busier week than I even thought it was. Before we get into some of the things that we've been up to and done this week, obviously it's a pleasure to have you with us, Kevin. Perhaps you could just give our audience a little bit of an overview of GOM for those that don't know as to what you provide and what you do.
No problem. So it was great to start getting involved much more with MTD earlier in the summer. So certainly a lot of our customers watch the channel. We've been watching as well. So GOM are all about measurement, kind of more specifically, that's typically 3D scanning, and whether that's with manual systems, whether that be it handheld, kind of static, going through to automated. And I think the thing that's happened with GOM is that it's not just about the data capture, but the kind of the value of the reports as well. So really just making measurement results very visible and easy to understand, which in turn can help people to fix problems quicker ultimately.
No, it's like every part of manufacturing, isn't it? It's a way of improving efficiency, getting stable processes is one of the things that Gio talks about. So important in today's precision engineering environment. We're going to talk with you, Kevin, about some of the technical corners that Gio's been doing today as we go throughout this broadcast. But I'd also welcome some of your opinions on some of the things we talk about, because of course that's all part of the pleasure of being a guest. Gio, why don't you start us off with some of the places you've been this week? You talk about Chester Machine Tools. Tell us about what you saw there.
So Chester Machine Tools, they've just joined the MTDCNC platform. They've just launched a new brand of machine tools, VMCs and lathes. They've got a large range of manual machine tools too. So they are going to be launching some of these new products on the MTDCNC platform very soon. We had a sneak preview at some of them, the machine tools yesterday, and they've got such an extensive range. And I really do believe that our audience is going to be very impressed.
Give us a couple of nuggets, a couple of real highlights, without giving too much away.
They've got the latest control systems, some of the box guideways or roller guideways, the very heavy duty, the spindle noses, the rapids, the speeds, the price per versus performance is. People are going to be very, very impressed with these products. The capabilities of the machines, and everything's built in, including the swarf management systems. There's no kind of added on features through coolant, for example. So they're very high specification, but at an unbelievable price. And I think that it will really send shockwaves through the industry if you've not heard of Chester Machine Tools before in regards to what they can offer, and they've got a lot of machines in stock too.
That's good. So that'll be coming to the channel soon. We'll obviously talk about Hainbuch and Solidcam as well, because I know Solidcam just took delivery of a brand new star sliding head lathe as well
in their technology centre. So that'd be, and then they're also receiving a fifth axis machine tool soon from Romy.
From Romy. Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to be proving out parts at the technology centre, and they're going to be taking these two machines to Mac. They believe that they're champions in the fifth axis and sliding head arena.
Okay.
And some of the advantages are massive.
Good. Kevin, what's the biggest industry that GOM service? Might be a hard question for you, because there's probably a lot, but is there any that really stand out?
It changes a little bit little bit globally. So in the UK, we'd be roughly kind of 45% aerospace, 45% automotive.
Oh, really? That big? Okay. Well, that's quite pertinent to my next topic. Is I was at Hella this morning, where I was doing a little bit like a technical corner that we do here, where we took a pylon part, which I don't know whether have you seen these parts? Yeah. So it's a pylon part. It's a part off an aircraft. It's between the engine and the wing.
Yes.
Made out of titanium, and this morning's technical corner was. I'm glad. Do you know quite a bit about this? Have you seen?
We were involved with a SECO project last year.
This is what it was. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. So we've been there today because the SECO ITI event is happening again very soon,
up, isn't it? Yeah.
and they're going to be rerunning this pylon. Now, basically, I didn't know what this part was. I've been.
I still don't, Paul.
Basically,
It's
it goes.
quite important.
Yeah, there's 4 of them per side of the aircraft, and it goes between the engine and the wing, doesn't it? Made out of titanium, quite heavy, very precise in the tolerances that it needs to be machined to. What we did this morning is we looked at the roughing strategy and the finishing strategy, and some of the things that they do with the Hella 4-axis machine. One of the aspects of the part, which I don't know whether you've seen, Kevin. I'm sure you've seen it, but they machine down at 35 RPM to remove the material, which begs the question: how on earth do you get a machine tool to have the power and the torque to still be able to remove material at 35 RPM, which they can, of course, do?
How large is the component, Paul?
I would say it's, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's like that. And if you're listening, it's about 15 inches by 20 inches, something like that. But it's made out of titanium. And when it comes, it's forged in its in its rough state. There's about 9 millimeters of material to be removed. They rough that down to 3 millimeters, and then the finishing process is for the remaining 3 millimeters. But the point, I suppose, which really correlates with your types of technology is the fact that these parts are worth tens of thousands of pounds each, and there's 4 per side. And if you get to the very last processes, they're the real critical ones. There's this bore. You might even be able to explain it better than me, I don't know, but there's a bore there that they need to machine down to microns. And they're using some fixturing where they've got actually the fixture is supported, or they've got. You'd need to watch the video. Do you know about how that fixture worked?
I've not been involved on that discussion.
Okay. But basically, this bore is machined down. It's about 20 microns, I believe it is, and it's one of the last machining operations on it. And in order to achieve these tolerances, they've put together this fantastic myriad of solutions when it comes to cutting tools, fixturing, and it's all working in unison in order to, it's like line boring. It's giving you line boring results. And of course, if you were the machinist that was doing that last operation, you would be thinking to yourself, but of course, this is all unmanned on a Hella machine.
Yeah. No pressure.
Well, what was really interesting about it was the fact that there are plenty of machine tools that could make these parts. You know, most machine tools, maybe not as quickly as a Hella. Some will say they can, but it's about the unmanned operation, and it's about producing these 24/7 over a period of time. Consistently. Having that stable process, including all the metrology side of things, the measurement of the tools, the sister tools that are included in it. They even have the ability to monitor the tools throughout the machining process, and if they sense that there's some frailty or wear, they'll swap to a sister tool. And I think the big point from Hella was, there are lots of people that can machine one of these parts, but there aren't many companies that could put together a solution with a machine that can consistently cut these parts 24/7, which then allows the customer to be able to predict the cost of the parts.
Reducing cost per part as well.
But they're tier 2 suppliers into Airbus, and they need to be able to predict what it's going to cost them and how many parts. So Kevin, interestingly, what's your perspective on like the aerospace and parts like this, having known it? Where does the metrology and the GOM aspect really come into play?
That's a good question, because whenever anyone thinks about metrology, they usually think about the end of a line. You've got a shiny, finished, machined part, and then you've got to check it. Now, metrology needs to pay for itself ultimately. So why not consider measuring earlier in the process? So we've talked about these Pilon titanium forgings, very high cost forging, probably a very long lead time on the part. We talked about how much machining stock there is. If we've got like at 5, 10 millimetres of machining stock? Do we really know where it is before we start machining that part? So very quickly we can scan it, we can make sure we've got sufficient machining stock, and we can do a few things from there. We can actually then, the machining process could be optimised to that individual forging, completely removing any air cuts, so saving time for the guy machining it, maybe saving tool collisions if there was something irregular on the forging. So all of a sudden now you're saving time in terms of spindle time, taking away air cuts, you're making sure you don't have any damage to the tool, and you're able to really just get a lot more understanding of your process.
And I 100% get that from being on the shop floor machining castings.
Sure.
But what's the communication then between the two? So how are you going to get? Let's say these forgings there.
Yeah.
The actual complete cycle time of the roughing cycle was 4 hours on this car, approximately. So where in that process would you do what you're suggesting with the forging? Would you do it off the machine? Would you do it? How would that work?
Typically before it goes onto machine. So you almost effectively a goods inwards inspection for the forging. So you can check that the forging you're receiving is within the tolerance that it should be. And then as an added benefit almost to that goods inwards inspection, you've then got an STL mesh or a digital twin of that forging. You can throw that into the CAM software to make sure that everything machines without any air cuts.
So you let's say you're doing 4 a day, 5 a day. What would you do then once you've done part 1? When part 2 comes in for roughing, you bring in the model of that particular part.
Exactly.
Then it synchronises with the program and makes the savings it can make. Is that how it would work?
Exactly that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Very, very interesting, because I can see, and I know we'll talk a lot more about scanning and stuff, but I can see the benefit immediately to that. You don't want to be, not machining anything, do you?
Another good point about that though, with the castings, is if the material, say for example, because like you say, you don't know where the material is, you could be machining the part and then find out that you've machined it too far to the right, and then it's not cleaning up on the left. Yeah. So then that casting then is scrap. Yeah. So then you're centralising the datum point around the model kind of thing, rather than just a generic datum point from a certain set feature. So that it can save scrap, and the time that you imagine machining that part up until, doing 2 or 3 hours machining on it, and then finding out that there's not enough material in a certain part. You've lost all that machining time too.
Isn't that what Nicola says to you a lot? You don't clean up after yourself.
She says that all the time. I'm never there. I'm never there.
I think it's the other way. I think it's the other way around.
I've got OCD.
It's the other way around, isn't it?
I hope she's not watching this, Paul.
So there'll be plenty of videos coming to the channel soon from Hella, including this really technical feature that I did with Stuart Masters this morning. Also this week, Bystronic. We've been at their open house. Colin was there and Mark were there this week. They were looking at their new Bysmart 12 kilowatt fiber laser, which goes up to, or has an 8 meter capable or capacity on it, 8 meter, which is huge. They also have their Bitey laser, 4.5 ton of tube that can take, and that takes up to 6.5 meters in length as well. So that's a tube laser. I mean, the lasering on tube, have you ever seen the speed that some of these lasers cut tube? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, we did.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're quite modular now, like these machine tools, aren't they, in regards to what they can do, and not, they're not just, they're not just laser cutters. They can do all manner of etching, folding, etching,
bending, the whole shooting match. And it's good to have Bystronic on our platform at the moment. It's an area of industry which we're looking to tap into a lot more. Do you have any experience in this area, Kevin, with fabrication? Do you use? I mean, it would imagine to me that some of these parts are ideal for scanning, aren't they? Yeah. But sometimes they don't require the same precision, or do they? I mean, I suppose it depends on.
I mean, we've got customers in the laser cutting field, because laser cutting goes from, let's say, fairly loose tolerances all through now to your aerospace components as well. So a traditional part of the GOM business would be the automotive sheet metal. So when we're getting into and within the automotive sheet metal world, in addition to all obviously complex forms, freeform surfaces that need to be controlled, and you've always got the edges and the holes, which are obviously, if the holes are in the wrong place, the part's not going to fit right.
Yeah.
So all of this, gets used on laser cut parts as well. And it doesn't matter. One nice thing with the GOM technology, everything's camera based. So if a component's a metre square or 10 centimetres square, it doesn't matter. We can just swap lenses the same as you would on an SLR camera, and we shrink everything down, and we get, you know, our tolerances and our accuracies are fit for the part then.
So I mean, yeah, even in where you can think of many applications in sheet metal which you still require. You still require the ability to have these parts to extreme accuracies and tolerances. So there'll be plenty of activity from Bystronic across our channel, plenty of videos coming to the channel, including a Swarf and Chips, which both Colin and Mark produced this week at their open house. I think it was a 3-day event there, and I've seen from some of the pictures that it was really busy, so that was good to see. Microplus was a company that we also visited this week. They've got one of the first in the country, a new Miano BNA 42 SY machine, fixed head twin spindle lathe. It's got a super rigid casting on it, and we know Adam quite well at Microplus, so it's good to see him continually investing. Those videos will be coming to the channel soon as well. I was also at Ritchie Engineering this week, a company in Colchester in Essex. They've just purchased their second Matsuura machine, and guess what? They've gone from an MX520 5-axis up to a MAM machine, and part of the story there was the fact that most people that buy a Matsuura 5-axis single pallet machine invariably go on to then buy a pallet machine, don't they? I mean, how often do we see that?
Yeah, all the time.
And this MAM machine that they've got, I think one of the statements one of the guys there said, he says it might be twice the price of a single table machine in and around, but it will do more than twice the work. There's no
analogy.
There's no better way of describing the success of it. I was also, we were also at the Engineering Quest this week. This was quite an interesting story, and will be coming to the YouTube channel very soon. They purchased, and you must see this as well, Kevin, and I know me and Gio and the guys at MTD do. You go into an engineering company, and their customer provides them with 1,000 parts a week or whatever it might be to produce. Suddenly, they're talking for weeks and months about an uplift in production. They're going to go to 2,000 parts a week. Okay, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And this thing drags on for weeks, months, whatever it would be. Suddenly, they go, it's happening, and I need them this Friday. Now, this is a common problem. What do you do then? Suddenly, you're left facing the fact that you either have to. And this is exactly the scenario at the Engineering Quest that we were at this week. They either take work off of another machine and really, not deliver on another customer's demands because their spindles are up to capacity, or they get another spindle in. Now, you get another spindle in, you've got to think of, firstly, is there one in stock I can get that can do the job? And not just that, I've got to make sure that I get it in without too much, interruption in the machine shop. But the most important one is cash flow. The most important one is thinking, I wasn't planning to need to pay a deposit, pay the VAT on a machine, sort all this stuff out. When really I'm not getting any more money from my customer for at least 30 or possibly 60 days for making these extra parts. So it's bridging that gap. And the story there, and the problem that Ward High-Tech solved, was they put a DMX 320 5-axis machine in, an identical machine to what was originally making the parts, opposite the first machine. So they doubled capacity within a week, and they haven't got to pay anything for 6 months. Wow. So they solved two problems: the logistics of installing a new machine and it being in stock. Well, more than two problems, actually. Another problem was that they needed a machine that they could take the program and just duplicate it and run it through. They needed the same fixture, and within a week, Ward High-Tech had delivered the machine and it was operating. So they were able to supply their customer with that uplifting component part. Like that, bang.
That's a great story.
Pretty impressive.
Great story, and it's a good dilemma actually. And there's lots of different dilemmas out there that we should be discussing more, because it's really pinpointing pain points.
How do you grow your company? How do you grow your company successfully when you're tendering for lots of work and you want to win it? But if you do win it, you're going to probably have to turn a bit away, or you're not going to be able to do it in the same way you want to do it, because you can't react as quick to the production as you can to the customer telling you he wants the parts. So there's only one way to do it, and that's to find someone that's got the right spindles for you, that are there in stock, that can deliver them, and can basically minimise any cash flow impact.
Yep.
I agree. I think also, Paul, like when you get to a scenario where they are at full capacity, that means that they've reached their ceilings of earnings. Obviously, your parts have got different margins, but your business is capped then, isn't it? So your growth, you might be earning as much as you want to earn, but nevertheless, you, as a business, you're not really growing. So I think that you also need to look at how can you be. Comes back down to how can you become more efficient and more efficient through every single department of your business to create more capacity, to be more flexible. And they're really good dilemmas, and it's quite nice strategy to look at.
And it's a brilliant story. But the thing that strikes me on this, and this is a really good question for you, Kevin, is that there are things in life that you have to buy. Right, and that's one of them, isn't it? That is a scenario. I've got no choice. I have to buy it. Do they have to buy your kit? This is always I don't mean that in a but it's one of those things. Do you ever get that call where someone says, "Do you know what? I can't deliver my customer's part without another spindle. We can understand that, but can I deliver my customer's part without one of your measurement solutions?" And I think that's no different to our business in a sense, or lots of businesses. We provide a service. Are people? Do they ring up and say, I must have MTD here tomorrow to market our services? You know, okay, we're a popular business and we've got a popular platform, but the demands are different, aren't they? So how does it come about with the type of kit that you've got?
Sure. So there's a couple of points to answer that. So something that's kind of been the heritage of GOM data is that we were talking earlier in the podcast about repeatable, reliable processes. And I think this is something that we've been able to do for a very long time. And this has driven us into traceability, to tick the boxes for the aerospace and kind of medical guys. And on the back of that, some OEMs have dictated that the measurement must be done on GOM. And that's one example.
So it's a nice way of going round, isn't it? It's getting yourself in a position where you can't provide that part into that customer unless you've got one of our bits of kit.
At the same time, and we see this across Europe and across the world, there's always going to be these peaks and troughs. So GOM's kind of answers to that partly are, a lot of the equipment we have now is built for stock effectively. So yes, there's still going to be a few weeks delivery time, but it's pretty much putting the right language labels on the boxes, that kind of thing. And we value our network. So by the network, I'm talking about what we would call a service provider, because in the UK, we've got 5 or 6 of these people that have invested in the technology. Maybe they've come from customers and been a spin-off and set up as a measurement house. And that's the other answer for these situations sometimes. We've in the technical corners we've done today and previously, we've looked at the fact that a lot of the measurement and the metrology technology is very portable and maybe automated and portable, like we were talking about this morning. And that can be an answer where you can have a solution dropped on the shop floor on a rental basis with or without a man in a very short period of time.
Good point, and we're going to come to that because we're going to pick up these technical corners, and I'm just going to rattle through a couple more of these points that we've been doing this week, and then what we'll do, Kevin, is Gio and yourself can give us a real flavour of what you discussed this morning and what people can expect to see. This actually involves GOM as well, this next point that I'm going to talk about. We were at Cranfield University this week. I interviewed Phil Webb and also Lynette Royals, Rydell's OBE, I should say. Now, they are going to be speaking at the FANUC Open House, which is from November the 1st to the 5th, which I know you'll be at. There's a lot of excitement around this event at the moment. There's going to be, an abundance of speakers there. Everything from talking about the skills gap, the way to get the best out of automation, IoT, Internet of Things, which is a very important part at the moment. And I have to say, when I spoke to Phil Webb yesterday, who actually he's Professor Phil Webb, I should say, who sits on the chair at Airbus, I was really trying to. I was asking him so many questions, and I knew there was things he knew because he knows lots of stuff, and I couldn't get some of the answers out of him for obvious reasons because he obviously can't tell us. But I was talking to him about electric aircraft and when this is going to be a commercial airliner flying through the sky powered by a battery, and he was giving me all the reasons why that's not going to happen in the very near future. And it's quite obvious, really, the fact that the power you get out of a battery compared to the weight means that it's not really physics or science at the moment, but they're certainly improving things in that way. But Cranfield University is a facility. I also saw one of the first electric powered aircraft there as one of the Rolls-Royce projects.
Yes.
Where have you seen it where the wings go up vertically and it takes off vertically,
I've not seen that,
and then the wings go to horizontal and then it flies. It is something.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. They actually got a fire engine there that pulls it along, so they use that in order to test it like a wind tunnel. So instead of blowing the wind at it, they drag it. Sort of things that I'm just talking from what I picked up from talking to the guys there. But the FANUC Open House, from November the 1st to November the 5th, GOM amongst others, I think there's going to be about 50 partners there. There's going to be real-life applications, solutions that have embraced and got the best in the manufacturing processes, thanks to automation and other aspects. There'll even be virtual reality features there. And what will you be taking, Kevin?
So we're taking what we call one of our scan boxes. So a really fast summary of a scan box story is a standard automated solution. We've been delivering these towards 10 years now, and FANUC provide the robots for us. So we've probably GOM globally have probably bought in the order of about 1,000 robots from FANUC to support the scan boxes.
Okay, and what does the scan box do?
So it automates 3D scanning in the simplest way. Put a part in, press go, predefined program, scans a part, will then inspect it to CAD, give you a nice visual information-rich report.
Okay, so that will be on show at the event.
Yes.
There's plenty of other products there, and as I say, there's keynote speeches. The Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are packed with very influential and knowledgeable people giving their opinions and views. And it's all open for discussion. It's definitely an event you need to register for. If you visit the FANUC website, you'll be able to do that. We'll also be streaming that event live on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. So we're really looking forward to that. Guys, what did you discuss then this morning? Tell us about the technical corners, Gio.
So I think first give a shout out to Sam Scullion who participated in the technical corners today. It was brilliant. And the first product that we discussed was the Scan Cobot. So this is kind of, again, automating metrology inspection to the next degree. And we were looking at all of the pain points that engineers were potentially suffering, and now this really solves a solution. And when I say solution, in regards to the time savings, in regards to if the cobot was next to the machine tool, the actual CNC operator could be actually machining his part, then he's actually inspecting it. So through automation or metrology automation, you're actually upskilling the operator through automation, not taking the operator away. You're giving him another role. The programming simplicity is literally, you can be taught within hours, Kev? Would you say? Yeah. So some of these key points are just phenomenal. The parts are not moving around the shop floor or having to go to a different department. It's saving operations, inspection operations, so you're doing it in one, where with old traditional inspection products you might have had to have checked that part in 3 or 4 different operations. It's complex parts that you're checking, like the one that you mentioned at the very beginning of the show from Hella. So the accuracy is within microns, and my biggest question is, I can't believe that this has not been adopted more yet in the UK, because I think this is certainly the future. We talk about automation in machining, but it's automation and improving a complete or getting the best process in manufacturing, and metrology is a big part of that.
So who's the audience, Kevin, for that? Who's going to be buying?
So we see a few examples. So the people that may have a CMM today, and we're not necessarily taking work away from the CMMs. GOM today, obviously part of ZEISS, and there's applications for both, but especially where you've got cast, additive manufactured, injection molded parts, cast and forged parts, where you've got complex features, freeform surfaces, and a lot of things to control. So the technology lends itself really well to all of those applications. I saw an internal presentation just yesterday, and I think with what Gio was saying before about having an automated scanning solution is fine. You can bolt something onto the end of a robot and make it work. But what you need to be challenging the suppliers with today is the whole process should be super easy. It should be super easy to teach it, super easy to deliver the machine and start it up. And we saw an example from somewhere else in Europe where one of these collaborative scanning solutions, so quite an advanced metrology system really, but the facility had literally gone from verniers to that. So not kind of a journey through optical or tactile systems. Because of the simplicity of how easily a part could be measured on there, that is a massive jump going from a hand tool to a fully automated cobot, robot-based scanning solution.
So lots of opportunities for many industries and many companies. Just before I ask you about what the second technical corner was, I'm just going to run through some of our videos this week that have been trending on MTDCNC. If you visit the MTDCNC.com website, we've got a brand new website, went live about 2 weeks ago. You'll be able to see that trending this week, we've got videos. Geo, one that you did with Chloe, saving coolant is saving money. I believe that was from Brown and Holmes, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Which has done really well. HEL is a company that Joe visited in Exeter where they've got a brother machining centre with an automated solution. We talk about automation there. They're feeding their I think it's their Speedio 5-axis machine using a FANUC robot and Lang work holding. That video is done exceptionally well. There's also a video trending from DMG Mori on the NMV 5-axis 128 pallet machine that myself and Mark did. That machine has an octagonal spindle. It's casing around the spindle. It's extremely rigid, extremely fast. And when we talk about unmanned running, that is a machine as well that will deliver a stable process, when you're doing lights out machining. Also doing really well on our channel at the moment is 3D printing videos from Marked Forge when they came here into the studio with their 3D printers. So lots to see on the MTDCNC website this week. We've also got the MTDCNC magazine, which the September issue is obviously our latest issue. And if you can see this, if you're watching on YouTube and you don't get a copy, then you can go on to the magazine page of the website and register for one of those as well. Second technical corner then, Gio, what was it?
Yeah, so the second technical corner was the Atos Queue, so another new innovation from GOM. But just before I move on to that, with the Scan Cobot, there's one point, big massive point really that I didn't mention. It's obviously very portable and flexible, so you can manoeuvre it throughout the shop floor. So you can literally put it next to one machine and then you can go and put it next to another machine.
Even for a man without muscles like you?
Well, I'd struggle probably. No, it's on wheels, very easy to move. Yeah. Very easy to move.
I've seen you pushing a trolley around Tesco's.
Not very often.
You should see what it's full of.
I've actually just subscribed to Tesco, £7.99 a month, and you can have as many deliveries, many deliveries a week as you want. So there you go.
Really?
A plug out to
£7.99.
Tesco.
What? And you could order
twice a week. You could order, and it can be delivered the next day.
They must cap that, mustn't they?
£7.99. I think it's 2 as far as I'm aware. It might be more, but it's not bad still. It's quite good.
Get you shopping at Tesco's. I'm more automated.
I'm not that level yet, Paul. But yeah, automated home delivery. But moving on to the second kind of product, the Atos Queue. Now, this is new innovation from GOM. Now, this is the scanning head that can fit onto the cobot, or it can fit onto other robots that GOM offer. And this is the scanning capability. And it's evolved. Kev can go into more detail in regards to the technology behind it and how that works. But we were looking at some of the applications. Now, this, again, very complex parts, whether you just mentioned 3D additive parts, whether it's sheet metal parts, as you've mentioned, or even 3D fifth axis machine parts. This technology can check any part, reduce inspection operations. The actual scanning itself is obviously saving loads of time because it's not a tactile probing system. So the savings, there are lots of them. There are lots of different savings, and the accuracy, we were talking about within microns accuracy. I would guess that over 90% of parts in the field fall within that remit. So the benefits of this and the different kind of components that you can do, it really simplifies inspection. I think that's the only way it simplifies a complete process. And we were also talking before, you can go into the technical aspect, Kev, but how we look at machine tools, and we've spoken about machine tools. The machine tools, people will look at a machine tool, and you need a machine tool to make money. They don't look at metrology in the same way. But if you're looking at a complete process and what we discussed at the beginning in regards to a complete process, if you've got the right complete process, effectively you're reducing the cost per part. So this kind of metrology is saving you money in so many ways because you're not getting backlogs of components needing to be inspected. You've got a good quality of part within a stable process. You're not going to be getting scrap parts going out the door. So the savings are astronomical and the return of investments are instantaneous in comparison to maybe how they were inspecting these parts before.
Should he be a salesman for you?
I might have a look at the territory map again when I get back at this week.
One question for you, Kevin.
Sure.
Tesco's or Marks and Spencer's?
Probably Tesco's before Marks and Spencer's.
So tell us, in your opinion, then. I mean, Gio's covered a lot there, and it does sound like something that's going to be very impressive and of a lot of use to manufacturers. Is there anything you could add?
Sure. So, I mean, I think with the technology, the 3D scanning technology, whenever we release new systems, accuracies of focus, speeds of focus, and that's the hardware side. At the same time, and this was picked up a little bit in one of the previous technical corners we did a month or so back, and it connects a little bit to some of the topics that you talked about. As we get faster at scanning, we kind of need to think about how we can really make that pay for itself. So recent software developments supporting the hardware of being able to do things like, rather than just put one part on a rotary table, we can put 4 parts down or more, and we scan them all in one go. So whilst we have, let's say, a higher resolution sensor, just like your cameras, it means that we can be measuring a large area, but maintaining the detail that we're capturing. So we've got the detail we need for fine, intricate parts. So really, again, bringing all the value out of a system and not just accepting at face value.
Can I just jump in here, Paul? Really good point that from there, what we touched on one of the technical corners from a month ago. So we're seeing massive evolution in the machine tool industry in regards to automation and the automated products that are being added on to the machine tools, and not just for high volume work, but for low volume, high mix work. And GOM have brought out a solution where literally it kind of mirrors the machine tool. So effectively, you've got a palletized system that loads the scan box. Okay. So whether that be loads of different one-offs or all the same part. So effectively, the metrology can run 24/7 alongside the machine tool. Yeah. So you've got
I've seen a video on this. I think I saw a video. It's like in a Euroa system.
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yes. So I mean, it is the future, because there's no good automating your manufacturing if you can't automate your inspection
somewhere else. Yeah, absolutely. No, fascinating. And those technical corners will be coming to our channel very soon. Gio, have you got a couple of words you want to say about your friends at Hainbuch? Your lovely picture.
Yeah, we had a good meeting with the team. Good meeting with the team at Hainbuch again, and another German company, innovators in what they do. You know that they've got an absolutely fantastic product. Lots of new innovations. I'm sure that will be coming soon. But we're going out to some really nice companies soon and going to get some testimonials. So we're discussing a plan to go and see. So coming soon on the MTD platform, Paul.
Good stuff. I'm going to conclude now by just talking about some of the events that we're attending in the up and coming weeks. We mentioned the FANUC one. Can't forget that, the 1st to the 5th of November. There is also open houses happening at Citizen, happening at Herco. The Herco one, I think, is October the 5th or the 6th or the 6th or the 7th, one of the two. I know you'll be there, Gio. Emo Encore from Mazak is also happening in November. So it really is good to see some of these events starting again. Of course, don't forget the MTDCNC app. You can download that from the App Store, and that will give you push notifications of all of the things that we're talking about here as and when they go live on the website. Emo is coming in just over a week's time. A GOM there?
There will be, yes.
Yeah. Are you going yourself, Kevin?
I'm not going to make it, unfortunately. Okay. GOM will be on the stand with Zeiss. So.
Okay, good. Now, we're going to be at EMO for 4 days, Monday through to Thursday. We have, and you'll see this across our YouTube channel and LinkedIn and Facebook, we'll be streaming live from Tornos on the Monday, from FANUC stand on the Tuesday. We've got so much going on that week. We'll be doing videos with Korea, Gruppus Parpus, Renishaw, WFL, I know I'm going to miss some.
SMW also booked Talbot.
Yep, there's Mazak as well. So much happening for us at EMO. Really looking forward to actually getting away and getting back into what we love here at MTD, which is exploring new technologies, meeting people, and travelling the world and having a bit of fun at the same time, like today has been. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Kevin, thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Kevin.
And thank you very much, Gio. And same time next week, 6 o'clock on Friday night.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.